All right, man, peace. So it's been a very long up and down season for Mr. Lonzo Ball. But it seems as if there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that Magic Johnson is pointing the way. According to new reports, Magic Johnson has told Lonzo Ball that this summer will be the most important summer of his life. What is he telling Lonzo? He's basically telling him that we're going to give you one more season to show what you can do because we drafted you number 2. We gave you a season to get your feet wet. We gave you a season to acclimate yourself to the speed, the strength, and the power of the NBA game. You know what your deficiencies are. I've given you a break on your up and down three-point shooting, your terrible mid-range shooting, and your horrific free throw shooting. And you better come back next year, raising the percentage points on all of those things exceedingly, or we're going to look to package you by the trade deadline. Please understand that. And if we bring in LeBron and LeBron does not want you, we may trade your ass anyway before the season. Who the hell knows? Anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Meanwhile, Lonzo Ball's rookie season, it's in the books. The number 2 overall pick in last year's draft, who missed 30 games because of injuries, saying he's ready for the challenge from Lakers brass to take his game to the next level.
What did you take away most from Magic and Rob and Luka, which the conversation you just had, and how that built into all the conversations you've had throughout the season? Basically,
Magic Johnson could tell someone that they have a terminal disease and make it sound good. So I just want to tell you that you're going to die in a week, but you just been unbelievable. You've been phenomenal, and we love having you here, but you're going to die in a week.
Basically, it's just the biggest summer of my life. Trying to transition now from rookie year to my sophomore year, so just looking forward to it, ready to put in the work and get after it.
do you have to get stronger?
Most definitely. Like I said, I want to play 82 games next year. I think this year I played 50, 52, so definitely got to come from the weight room and just get my body ready and be ready to go.
For more on the Lakers, here's First Take.
I was looking forward to this conversation all morning. So Lonzo Ball says it's not his job to recruit free agents, while Magic Johnson says that this will be the biggest summer of Lonzo's life. Stephen A., what's Magic really saying here?
I think what Magic is saying is that he needs Lonzo Ball to step up so he can help attract free agents, marquee free agents.
No, sir. No, sir. You totally missed that. If you think that Magic Johnson is telling Lonzo Ball that Lonzo has to step his game up or ascend up certain levels of proficiency so that free agents are encouraged to come to the Lakers, you better think again. He's telling that little light-skinned dude, look, bro, I put up with you and your daddy's shit all season. Like a good soldier, I let a lot of things roll off my back and off my shiny-ass head. But if you don't come back next season looking something like Jason Kidd, if you don't come back next season with some enthusiasm and able to play at least 75 games for us next season and have us fighting for a number 8 seed, we don't even necessarily have to make the playoffs, but we better be something like what the Denver Nuggets were this year. If you can't bring that type of verve and energy back to us next year, you better get ready to pack your bags, because I'm not going to trade you to another team in the NBA. I'm going to trade you somewhere in Lithuania to go play with your brothers, okay? I'm going to trade you for a couple towels that have Lithuania written on them.
You're not just a player wearing the purple and gold. You're the point guard of the reinvigorated Showtime, at least in Magic Johnson's eyes. That's the expectations when you made Lonzo Ball the number 2 overall pick of the franchise. You want somebody, you know that he can push the ball up the floor, you know that he can pass, you know he's got a high basketball IQ.
Lonzo has a high ceiling. He just has to work on his scoring ability. He has to make himself a scoring threat, because that will make his passing even more potent. He's already a great passer. But when he adds the scoring option to his repertoire, that's going to make him even more effective, because teams are not going to be quite sure what he's going to do. And he definitely has to improve his finishing around the basket.
Lonzo Ball has potential, and I think he's shown enough to validate that. What we're looking for from him, and what I've been lamenting all year long, is that I don't think he's been nearly as aggressive as he could have been. And that's what I'm looking for. Even though the numbers may have been even a little bit better than Jason Kidd when Jason Kidd was a rookie, understand that Jason Kidd came right on this show and said, don't compare him to Lonzo Ball, or don't compare Lonzo Ball to him.
Of course Jason Kidd said that. The main reason why he stated that was because He's looking at his career in totality, and he does not want to be compared to someone who could potentially be a bust. That's what's going on in his mind. But Jason Kidd really did not reach his full potential until he went to the New Jersey Nets. He was good with the Dallas Mavericks. He even made a couple All-Star teams. Then he went to the Phoenix Suns and he had that blonde hairstyle. But it wasn't until he reached the New Jersey Nets that he reached his full potential as someone who could dominate a game. There was about a 4 or 5 year stretch where Jason Kidd was one of the top 5 most dominant players in the NBA. Like right after Shaq and Kobe, Kidd was right there with anybody. He was right there with Allen Iverson, Chris Webber, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, as far as his ability to dominate a game just as a single player. There's a reason why the Nets got to back-to-back finals, even though that was a very weak era in regards to the Eastern Conference. He was a dominant player. He was arguably the most dominant player in the Eastern Conference at a time when you had Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter, Paul Pierce.
He said it for one reason. I was aggressive all the time. I was coming at you. I was in constant attack mode. And it may have been to feed other people the ball, but the bottom line is I constantly had you on your heels. I wasn't content with getting the ball past half court, throwing it to somebody else, and just running away from the play. I wanted to be a part of the action at all times. I wanted to keep being in constant attack mode and have you on your heels. That's what Lonzo needs to do. He doesn't need to score 20 a game max. He doesn't need to average 13 assists a game or anything like that. But what he does need to do is have the ball in his hands and be in constant attack mode so he can facilitate for other people, so Magic can have the quality of play that he's looking for from his team, and thereby making it more attractive for prospective free agents. Without that, you don't have a point guard. And if you don't have a point guard, what's the possibility is there going to be of you attracting one of those marquee free agents you are in pursuit of?
I don't think that that's particularly relevant in regards to Lonzo. I mean, Magic Johnson could sell an ice cube to a penguin. He doesn't need Lonzo to attract prospective free agents. All you have to do is trade him, if that's the case. There are certain guys that he can bring in if he really wants to bring them in, where they don't even need a dominant point guard. If you bring in Paul George or LeBron James, you don't need a dominant point guard, because they do a lot of point running, to be quite honest with you. LeBron James can't even really play well with a ball-dominant point guard. He's telling Lonzo, this is your last season to show me what you can do. That's the bottom line of it. This is the last season for you to show me what you can do. I'm expecting to see a year of maturation, a year of growth. You're going to work with our LA Lakers training staff and get away from your father and his training program. We want to see you put on some girth, some muscle. You're already 6'7". Where Lonzo's going to show you his greatest aspects will be on the defensive end, because you can actually have him guarding at least 3 positions. He's young enough that even though he's 6'7", he can still guard smaller players. He can still guard the point. He can guard the 2. He can guard the 3. At 6'6.5", however tall he is, he can guard 3 positions right now. And he has a great nose for the ball. People spend so much time concentrating on the negative aspects as opposed to looking at what he's currently able to bring to the table. And Stephen A. Smith keeps talking about his aggressiveness. Well, Stephen A., you're a reporter, so what you should do is call up Luke Walton and ask him what is asked of Lonzo Ball in the system that they're running. Because as far as I know, Luke Walton is still trying to get them to play like the Golden State Warriors, and they don't have that personnel. I mean, to be quite frank with you, the LA Lakers have a grit and grind type of personnel. That's why I think that David Fizdale would be much more better suited for their style of play, for their personnel. Just my view of it. Everybody cannot play with the Golden State Warriors. You need to have 2 or 3 of the top 10 to top 20 players in the NBA, at least as far as shooting is concerned. You also have to have a team that is accustomed to playing together. You can't just bring in that style of play and say, okay, go out and shoot like Golden State and play like Golden State. It doesn't work that way. And I've stated this numerous times already in previous videos. You're not going to beat a team like Golden State trying to outplay them in their style. You have to formulate a style that can nullify what they do. That was what was so imperative back in the 80s and 90s, when you had a running gun style of team, a team that liked the fast break. You try to slow the game down. You wouldn't say, let's run with the LA Lakers. That doesn't make sense. Why would you feed into your opponent's strengths? But you see so much of that today. Teams want to actually outstrength the opposing team's strength. That is why LeBron cannot beat running gun teams, because he wants to run with them as opposed to using the basketball IQ that he has to slow the game down and make it a half-court game. But the reason why he doesn't want to do that is because the LeBron James system is not built to out-execute teams in half-court sets.
I think what Magic Johnson is telling Lonzo here is you got to put in the work this summer. Not because necessarily the Lakers think that they have a better chance than not of landing, let's say, Paul George and then having a domino effect, getting LeBron James. Or, I'm sure they hope that. But because if Lonzo puts in the work this summer and improves upon his rookie season, given the presence of Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma and Luke Walton's up-tempo offense, the Lakers have a chance to be good enough that in the following offseason, when Kawhi Leonard is a free agent, among others, Kawhi Leonard from the area, they have a good chance to land then, even if they strike out on these free agents this year. Lonzo has to be attractive enough. And let's not forget that I thought Lonzo had a solid rookie season.
He absolutely did. He was just a little bit too fragile of body and fragile of mind early on. But as he got accustomed to the flow of the game, as he got accustomed to the overall culture of professional basketball, he started to improve incrementally. And that's what you have to expect. When you look at all the rookies in the NBA, outside of the two super rookies, that being Ben Simmons, who's not even a real rookie, Donovan Mitchell in Utah, you have the kid Jason Tatum up there in Boston. You can put Lonzo's rookie year with anybody's. De'Aaron Fox, anybody's. I thought that he had a relatively successful rookie year in light of all the pressure that he was under. He was on a LeBron James level of pressure in his first couple of months in the NBA. And when I say LeBron James, I'm not talking about when LeBron was a rookie. I'm talking about LeBron right now. Because no one was rooting for LeBron to fail like how they were rooting for this young man to fail.
To tell you the truth, I know what you mean about being aggressive. He gave up the ball sometimes, across his half court, he's giving up the ball. But he has a broken-looking shot. At times he was hitting it. But it was a really good draft, guys. I mean, it was Markelle Fultz was even showing stuff just very recently at the end of the year.
I agree with that. I think that it was a good draft. I think that it'll show in 5 years how good it was, though. I think sometimes people spend a little bit too much time trying to praise rookies and prognosticate how great they're going to be. You have certain guys who come in as rookies and average 16 a game, and they're just 16 to 18 point per game guys for their whole career. So you can't just look at a rookie like a Kyle Kuzma and say, oh, he averaged 17 a game. He's going to become a 27 point per game guy. That is a huge, huge leap. Right now, when teams play the LA Lakers, they're not saying, okay, what are we going to do about Kuzma? They're saying, okay, you're going to guard Kuzma. That's it. He'll get his 17, 18. He might break wild and get 28, but you're not scared of Kyle Kuzma. Now, when you're a guy who's going to score 27 a game every night, and the game plan is like, okay, what are we going to do about this guy? When he's on the elbow, you double down. When he's on the wing, you make sure that you're watching him. When he's at the top of the key, everybody converge. That's the difference in a game plan defensively from a 17 point per game scoring rookie and a 27 point per game perennial all-star. It's a huge, huge leap.
When he came back, I mentioned Kuzma. Obviously, you can talk to the Celtics or the Jazz about the kind of, Tatum and Donovan Mitchell. You can look at Dennis Smith Jr. You can look at Markkanen, right? There's so many guys who came out of this draft. If you're the number 2 overall pick and you went to the Lakers, it's not good enough to just be good enough. You got to be really good. You got to be special. And if Lonzo can be special, if he can put in this work this summer and be special, then even if the Lakers don't get Paul George or LeBron James, they got a good shot at Kawhi and others the following offseason. I think that's what Magic was referring to.
Well, listen, he's not the only one. Brandon Ingram's got to get in the weight room. He needs to be right up in there just as much as Lonzo Ball needs to be up in there because you have...
Brandon Ingram has a very bright future, though. He has a lot of heart. I like how he drives to the basket. He always drives to the basket looking to draw contact and score. Some guys drive to the basket looking to draw contact, but he looks trying to get the three-point play. He wants to score and get the contact. So he's good. I think that people look at him as a Kevin Durant clone, but his game seems to me to favor more James Worthy possibly if he works on it and can grow a few more levels. because that's the type of player that James Worthy was. Work on the elbow, post up, hit 15 to 18 footers every once in a while, step out for three, could handle the ball at the top of the key, could distribute if you needed him to. Please understand that James Worthy had, I believe, a 40-point triple-double in Game 7 against the Detroit Pistons in '88. If it wasn't a 40-point triple-double, it may have been mid to high 30s, but one of you brothers can correct me on that. If Brandon Ingram works on his game, watches a lot of James Worthy film, he can become a very potent player. I just think that the Lakers may have too many of the same type of player on their team. They may have to get rid of a couple of guys. Either that or Kuzma may have to just become a bench player. Because what are you going to do with all those guys? You have Brook Lopez, you have Kuzma, you have Brandon Ingram, you have, what's this kid's name, the left-hander? Julius Randle. I mean, they just have too many forwards. It would not surprise me if they package one of those guys in the offseason, maybe to get an off guard, because that's really what they need. They need an off guard to play with Lonzo.
You have two talented young players, but from a physical perspective are relatively weak. That has to be addressed. The value of Julius Randle has been elevated. Last summer, you couldn't give him away for a box of cookies. Now, teams are looking at him with respect and thinking about what he brings to the table, so that's helpful.
That's why this may be the time to move him.
Kuzma is a stud as far as I'm concerned. He's a future star in the making, I have no doubt. But it all comes down to Lonzo.
I agree. But I agree from a different perspective than what you're asserting, Stephen A. Smith. I think that they're telling Lonzo basically, you have one more year to show major growth, because this current team of LA Lakers, I believe they won something like 34, 35 games. If he steps his game up, there's no reason why they should not be contending for a playoff berth. They should be right where Denver was this year, should be them next year. Now that I think of it, I think that Julius Randle is a free agent, because if I remember correctly, he wore that sweater that said, pay me or just pay me or something like that. So they're going to have to do something about the Julius Randle situation, because he certainly did ball out. And if he has any more growth, he could be a very, very potent down low force, and he has feet quick enough to guard many of the bigger players in the NBA. Maybe they'll try to package Robin Lopez in a deal, because with the way that the NBA is right now, Robin Lopez cannot guard any of the top big men. I mean, especially over the next 10 years, you're going to have to deal with Jokic, Nurkic, Boogie Cousins is coming back, Anthony Davis. Then in the Eastern Conference, you have Embiid. The days of the elephant-footed centers like Robin Lopez, they're no more. So they're going to have to move him, especially if they want to pick up the pace of their offense.
Lonzo is that dude. The Lakers are on the come up.
Yeah, also a big summer, though, for Magic as well. We all know why, to show he can land a marquee free agent. We'll leave it there, guys.
Yes, we will leave it there. So we'll see. And I agree, this is a very big off season for the Lakers. I get a lot of Laker fans on my channel, normally to argue about Kobe Bryant. But we'll see where this current incarnation of the LA Lakers goes, particularly Mr. Lonzo Ball, because this is certainly a big summer for him. But anyway, peace.